It's time that we head to Dollar Tree and try to find us a brand new cash budgeting system for as little as $15. You heard it right. Not only are we going to do that, but if you're new to cash budgeting, I'm going to be showing you how I would set up a budget and how we would actually do a cash stuffing with these supplies. So let's get started. Well, hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Salisa if you're new here, and today I thought we'd do a fun and frugal challenge. We're going to be buying a whole complete cash budgeting system from the Dollar Tree for less than $15. If you're new to cash budgeting and you've been looking for a cost-effective way to get started, then this video is for you. We're going to go inside, pick out some essential items from the Dollar Tree, and then we're going to set up a sample budget and finally do a cash stuffing for that budget so that you'll understand all the ins and outs of cash budgeting. Now, there are many ways to do cash budgeting, and this is only one of the ways, but it is super effective and affordable, so I think you will enjoy it, especially if you're new to cash budgeting. If you're not new, this video could be for you too, because you might find some new and interesting ways to save. All right, so let's get started by going into Dollar Tree and picking out some items that we're gonna use on our cash budgeting journey. Let's go. Okay, there's a ton of people in Dollar Tree, so we're gonna try to get this done and get out of here. Let me head to the office supplies first, because that's where I'm thinking the majority of the things that I want will be. Okay, you guys, my total ended up being $16.16, but I did get a product for myself. So all of that is not for this basic cash budgeting. I'll show you the product I bought for myself, and then I'll also show you the things that I got to start the cash budget. We are going to go home, make a sample budget, and do a sample cash stuffing, and I'll showcase all the items I got from the Dollar Tree. Some of them have multiple uses, so let's get started. All right, now that I'm back from Dollar Tree, I'm going to scoot the plant back and we're going to go over everything that I purchased while I was there and the plans that I have for it. There's several different ways you can work this whole budget setup for very affordable prices at Dollar Tree. This is just one way. Keep that in mind. First and foremost, what I got for myself is a weekly planner. I love these type of planning sheets that I can just tear off a sheet and keep going. So I'm going to be using these for myself. And that's what pushed me over the limit to $16.16 was this $1.25 product that I bought for myself. All right, the first thing I got from Dollar Tree is this stackable acrylic drawer. I love these. They had a lot of them that you could stack together, but I only bought one because we're going to use it for a savings challenge. Let's just hope that this label comes off the top with ease. Great, I'm so excited. So that is our $1.25 savings challenge box, and we'll get back to this in a little bit. I also bought this planner, and I thought it was so great for this actual video called Simplify Your Life. Yeah, when you just need to simplify, but yet and still have your budget, we have a line journal, and I'm gonna show you exactly how you can budget with this journal. I also got some envelopes that are zipper and button, and I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think I'm going to use 4 for sinking funds and 1 is going to be for our savings challenge, but I'll show you that in a little bit. I also got some labels that are removable labels that we can use in order to label our sinking funds and savings challenge. I got some highlighters because we're going to need these in order to create our cash envelopes, and I'll show you that in a minute. I got some index cards that we're going to be using for 2 purposes. We can use these for our cash envelopes, and we also can use these for a savings challenge. And then I got 1 large file organizer. Did you notice that I kept a lot of things in purple theme? 1 large file organizer to keep all of our sinking funds in. All right, so I think that is everything. Let's first get started with setting up the budget. The first and most important part of this whole journey is going to be setting up your budget. And a budget doesn't have to be super complicated. It doesn't have to be very detailed. It can be super simple, as it says, simplify your life, and you can get it done. So I'm just going to be using a Sharpie pen, but any pen will work. This just happens to be the one that I have on my desk. And I do like the way that this book is all in one place, that you can keep several months of budgeting all in one place. So I wouldn't use this first page because I do like the 2-page spread. And so I would use this one as my first page, okay? So let's say that we're gonna do our budget for the month of May. Okay, so now that we have all of our bills that we have to pay every single month listed out, we will need a calculator. Now, I did see some calculators at Dollar Tree, but everybody has a calculator on their cell phone, and most people have that. If not, you could purchase one. I do have a calculator here, and so I'm going to use it, but true indeed, you could use this calculator on your cell phone, right? So we have 1,500 plus 240 plus 100, 30, 80, 110, 50, and 170. All right, so that's $2,280. And let me just add it again to make sure I'm correct. Yeah, $2,280 for bills. Next thing we need to do is figure out how much we usually spend on just regular day-to-day expenses. So I'm just going to put expenses, and I'll give you some categories that you can think about. One is going to be groceries. We also can have one for gas for our car. We can have one for spending, which means anything you want to spend your money on. And let's make one for beauty. Let's say you want to get your nails done, things like that. Spending would be like if you want to go out for fast food or go out with your girls for drinks, that would be spending. Beauty would be if you want to get your nails done or your hair done or something along those lines. These would be the things that you would spend on week over week. So next we need to come up with some dollar amounts for this. Let's say for groceries, you're now spending $300 a month. And for gas, you're spending $150. Spending, let's say you spend about $400 on dining out, activities on the weekends, things with your girls. And beauty, let's say you spend $200 in the month. All right. So total for the month, these are all monthly totals. This is going to be 300 plus 150 plus 400 plus 200. That's $1,050. All right. So these are the numbers of the things that you must do. And next are going to be the things that we want to do. But before we get to the things that we want, we have to see how much money we have left over from our actual income that's coming in. Let's say we get paid every 2 weeks and we have income number one and income number two. Income number one, we get about $2,000. And income number two, we get a little bit of mileage reimbursement, so we get $2,500. All right, so that equals then $4,500 that we have towards cash budgeting. But we need to subtract out these. So if we take our $4,500 that we already have and we subtract out $2,280 and we subtract out $1,050, we have $1,170 left for the month. And I'm going to put remaining. That $1,170 is what we're going to put over here to the wants. But let's start out over here with these are our needs. All right, now we're going to get to our wants. We have $1,170 to work with for the whole month. Let's just say we want to put some towards clothing. We need a wardrobe in order to go to work. Also, let's say we want to put some towards Christmas. We want to save up for car repairs, and we want to save up for a vacation. In addition to that, we're going to do a savings challenge, which will be for our emergency fund. All right, so these are the things that we want to do. Before we go any further, let me just explain what all of these are called. We know these are bills. These we call cash envelopes. And these you'll probably carry, this amount you'll probably carry around in your wallet, anything you put in your cash envelopes. These are called sinking funds. And then we're also going to have a savings challenge, which is going to challenge us to save a little bit more. And we'll put that towards the emergency fund. All right, so for cash envelopes and bills, we've already established those are what we need. Now for wants, we want to put some money towards all of these. We have a total of $1,170 to do that. I would encourage you to at least put 10% of your take-home income, if you can afford it, towards your emergency fund. So that would be $450 for the month. And when we take $1,170 minus $450, we still have $720 to work with. Let's go ahead and break that down. Maybe for vacation, you want to get to a vacation at the end of the year, so you're going to put $200 here. And we would subtract $200 from our $720. We're down to $520. We'll put $100 towards car repairs, as we don't typically need them, but just in case we need tires or oil change, we'll have the money available. Or car tags. For Christmas, we will also put $120. And now we have $300 a month to go towards clothing. You can definitely have many more sinking funds, all that you want, But I would encourage you in the beginning to set a few larger sinking funds, which are called macro sinking funds, instead of drilling down to the micro funds, right? Under car repairs, you could have tires, oil change, new car fund. There's several categories under this one. Vacation, you can have money for cruises, flights, hotels. There's several categories you can create as well. But instead of having all of those little micro categories, which will be harder to kind of keep up with when you first get started, it's sometimes easier to have just larger categories, knowing that all of these you can pull from if you need to pay something or if you run into a bind. If you wanted to, you could pull from your emergency fund, but you also could pull from these sinking funds. All right, so now that we have our budget laid out, we kind of need to think about what we would strategically pay every pay period, right? So out of the first income for $2,000, let's say we want to pay our rent, and that leaves us with $500. And from there, we're going to end up paying half on groceries, which is $150 for groceries. We're going to pay $75 towards gas. We're going to pay $200 to ourselves for spending, and we'll put $100 towards beauty. That's just about going to be all of our first check, but let's add it up. 500 minus 150 minus 75, 200, 100. So we'll have $25 left, and let's say we put that towards our emergency fund. Then that means we already would have taken care of rent. We would have taken care of half of all of these and some of this. So when we get our next check, which is our second check for $2,500, we will only need to pay the remainder of our bills. And I'm just going to deduct $1,500 from the $2,280. $2,280 minus $1,500. That's $780 towards bills. So we would take out the $150 towards groceries, the rest of it. The $75 towards gas, $200 towards spending, and we took $100 towards beauty, so we take another $100 for beauty. Now we've already balanced and taken everything we needed for all of our needs. It's time that we have some for our wants, but let's add this up first. $2,500 minus $780 minus $150, $75, $200, and $100. So we're down to $1,195. We already put $25 towards the emergency fund, so we should be able to put $425 towards the emergency fund. That leaves us with $770, and that should be the amount of all of our sinking funds. 3, 4, 5, 6, 720. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. 300, 120, 100, 3, 150. 4, 200. I was in the whole $25. Wait a minute. Okay, so here I was actually in the whole $25. So I need to only put maybe here 50 towards beauty. And that'll put 25 towards our emergency fund. So then here we would put 150 towards beauty. And that would leave us, instead of $1,195, we'd have $1,145. Let me tell you something. Numbers never lie. So if it doesn't add up, you need to go back and triple check your math, which is what I had to do to figure out that this was a negative $25. I didn't have enough to do all of these things. So I ended up putting 25 towards emergency fund, but that meant for beauty, I needed to not have 100 go there, only 50 to go there this time. Or I could have reduced spending, however you want to budget, right? All right, so now if we have 1145 minus 425, then that equals the 720, which is the amount of our sinking funds. So minus 720 sinking funds. And that means a zero-based budget. Now, if your check happens to be more than $2,000, then you could add more to your emergency fund. You could add more to your personal spending. You could add some to your sinking funds. You can leave that extra in your account, and that is what we call a buffer. So your account won't be at exactly zero. So you could do that as well. If your check is over $2,500, you can do the same thing. Add a little bit more to groceries. Add a little bit more to sinking funds, or a little bit more to your emergency fund. This is savings challenge. You can decide where you want to put the extra if your checks are more. Now, if your checks are less than this, then you might need to cut your grocery budget or spend less on gas or your own personal spending to accommodate that your check was less than $2,000. Maybe it was $1,945. You're $55 short, and you need to figure out where you're going to deduct $55. I like to come up with this budget plan before I get paid so I can plan exactly where my money is going to go. But sometimes when I get paid, it doesn't work out exactly as I think, and I need to make some slight adjustments, and that's okay. All right, now that we have the game plan for the pay periods, let me show you a sample of how you would actually set up your cash stuffing setup, and then we're going to do 2 sample cash stuffings. So hold on one second. All right, the first thing I want to do is set up our categories for our sinking funds here, as well as our savings challenge, and that's what these 5 envelopes are for. Now, these are rather large. They have a button that you could put something in, and they also have a zipper. So I'm only going to use the zipper part for right now, but I'll explain how I'm going to label them. I got these removable labels, and I'm going to write on here my sinking funds categories. So the first one is going to be clothing. The next one is going to be Christmas. The next one is going to be car repair. The next one is going to be vacation. And the last one is going to be savings challenge. And I actually want it to read emergency fund instead of savings challenge. Okay, so these are all of our categories that we have, and now we just need to put them actually on our envelopes. For emergency fund, I'm gonna stick them down in this bottom corner, and I'm gonna take this off. That's the one for emergency fund. Next is vacations. We have car repairs. These categories can be whatever you like and whatever you need to save for. Everyone's sinking funds are not exactly the same. It's fitting that the green one ends up being Christmas. And finally, the last one is clothing. Now, there are a lot of people in the budgeting community that have free trackers that you can use. They're called mini savings challenges that are free for digital download. And you could put one of those inside of this pocket here. So let's say you had this tracker. You could put the tracker in here and you can put the money in here. So that's why I love these envelopes. And there's a lot of free trackers that are going around in the budgeting community. We now have all of our sinking funds and our emergency fund set up. Let's work on setting up our cash envelopes. When I first started cash budgeting, I had these little mini wallets, and it was a card holder wallet. And I used to stick these little envelopes into a mini wallet. I don't know what type of wallet you have now, and I didn't necessarily think of, oh, let me purchase a wallet at Dollar Tree, because most people already have that available to them. But I did think about what you can use in order to divide your money. With the set of 4 highlighters that I got at Dollar Tree, I probably would highlight across the top what the category is going to be. They can be 4 different colors because we have 4 different categories of cash envelopes. You, of course, could make more and different colors if you had more cash envelope ideas, right? I have quite a bit of different cash envelopes, and I think about maybe 7 categories total. I keep mine inside of a wallet that has rings already and created some envelopes. I'll link a tutorial up above if you're interested in making your own cash envelopes. But this is just going to be the simplest way that you can do it without spending anything extra to get a fancy setup. And this will get the job done. All right, now that we have our 4 cash envelopes, we're going to actually write down what the categories are. So the first one is going to be beauty. The next one is going to be spending. The next one is going to be gas. And the last one is going to be groceries. And these will serve as our 4 cash envelopes. And I'm going to explain to you how we'll use these in just a minute. But for right now, these are our cash envelopes. The last thing we need to do is set up our savings challenge. Make some index cards, folded them up, and put them inside of this acrylic box that I got, which is a fun idea where you can just open the drawer and pull out a number and save that dollar amount. However, if you number all of your little cards, 20 of them, 1 through 20, then you would end up saving $210 by the time you finish this game. If you did numbers 10 through 200 in increments of 10, you would save $2,100. Well, if you have $450 to save in the month, you probably can do them 10 through 200 and save money that way. But if you wanted a more predictable way as to track how much you're saving, then let's talk about a tracker. All right, so our emergency fund tracker I just created out of having some lines on a note card, and we'll be placing this directly in the front of our emergency fund envelope. So let's say we are planning $450 for this month. Then I would actually just put right here $450, and this is going to be May. And now I know for the month of May that I'm supposed to put $450. Once I did, then I would highlight it with the highlighter until all the boxes are completed. Then my tracker is done. We'd add it up at the end to see how much we have. All right, so this tracker can go in the front of our emergency fund envelope. Now that we have all of our sinking funds as well as our tracker for our emergency fund, and we have our cash envelopes together of what we're going to do with that, let's go ahead and do a sample cash stuffing. For our first paycheck, we would have received $2,000, $1,500 we would leave in the bank and pay our rent, and we would still need $500 that we're going to break down into our cash envelopes and a little bit into our emergency fund. So let's go ahead and pull out $500. All right, so I have $500 here. I've taken it out of my completed binder for those of you that are wondering. But let's go ahead and count it up. There's 1, 2, 3, 54, 450, 70, 90, 95, $500. And I made sure that I got denominations so I can break up everything that we have here. Okay, so we're going to sit this up here and we're going to proceed to do our cash stuffing. Now, when we get paid, we'd bring the $500 from the bank and bring out all of our envelopes and wallets, and we'd get started. The first thing we need to do is put our money towards our groceries. We have $150. This money can go directly in here, and this can go down into our cash wallet. It's already labeled. For gas, we have 75, 50, 75, and that would go here in gas. Next, we have spending, which is 200, and we would just get two $100 bills and put that in here. Now, you could get whatever denominations you like whenever you go to the bank to break down these dollar amounts, but I know that I needed some smaller bills in order to make change. Finally, beauty, we're going to put $50. And now all of our cash envelopes have been taken care of. We could put these directly down into our wallet, or if you're like a guy, let's say, and you wanted to do it, then you can fold these bills in half and then put these in here like this and put this down into your wallet. Okay, and now whenever you get change, let's say you go to get something beauty related, you pay $50 and they give you back $10.25. The 25 cents you put into your coin purse and the $10 you would put back in here. You still have $10 left in beauty. With the money that you have left over in your categories, you can decide if you want to save that money or maybe treat yourself to something nice with that because you've saved in other areas. So that would be our cash envelopes. Next, we have $25 for this pay period that needs to go into our emergency fund. So we have our emergency fund here, and our $25 would go down in there. And that's it. I did buy a container that can hold all of these envelopes, which is this purple file organizer. Another label. I'm going to leave that one on there. But anyway, all of these can go down in here. And this would be able to go into your safe, and you wouldn't pull this out again until the next time you get paid. These would all go inside of your wallet, and you would keep these and spend from them as you need. When you go to the grocery store, you're looking for the one that says groceries. No, that's gas. Here's groceries. You take out the money, you pay groceries, put the change back in the grocery file, and put it back into your wallet. So these little index cards can serve as cash envelopes. All right, so we made it through the pay period, and let's say we had some left over and we decided to spend that on ourselves, and we're back down to zero in our cash envelopes. And it's time for us to do our next cash stuffing. We still have $25 in our emergency fund. Next pay period, we received $2,500. We have $780 that we'll leave in the bank so we can pay all of the bills that we already had discussed over here. And now we have all of these amounts that we need to pull out and put in our cash envelopes. And we have $425 to go and $720 to go towards our savings challenges and sinking funds. So let me gather up the cash for this cash stuffing. That would basically be $2,500 minus $780. Okay, so the next payday has come around and we now have all of our money minus our bills, which is $1,720 in cash that we got from the bank. And with this large amount on the second check and not so much on the first check, you could split your rent if possible, pay $750 here and $750 here. And that way you'd have an extra $750 to cash stuff on this check and maybe $750 less on this check. Do you see what I'm saying? So you can balance out your bills so you have a little bit more to put towards all of these sinking funds and savings challenges every pay period instead of one large bill coming out of one check. Now, this $1,500 rent might need to be paid on the first of the month. So if that's the case, you do what you have to do and you end up making the extra up in the second check when you get your mileage reimbursement. All right, let's count up. Make sure we have $1,720 and then we'll do the cash stuffing for our second pay period. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 16, 50, 70, 90, 1710, 1715, and 1720. So let's go ahead and break it all down. And we're going to do a cash stuffing for our $1,720. And this is where the payoff begins. I feel like when I see the cash going into my sinking funds and my savings challenges, that's when I really feel like I'm doing something, even though one of the most important things you can do for yourself is pay your bills on time, right? All right, so let's go ahead and first do our cash envelopes. Now we have the same cash envelopes, but remember you had 100 cards. So if these start to get grimy, just get rid of them and start over again. We have the same thing going in a little bit more towards beauty. So groceries is going to get 150. When I first started cash budgeting, also, I laid my money on a table. I didn't have a cash tray, nothing fancy. 150. Gas. Oh, wait a minute. That's beauty. Groceries is going to get 150 as well. There we go. So beauty and groceries have been taken care of. Next up is spending, which is going to get $200. And finally is gas, which is going to get 75. The goal would be not to spend all of these dollars. If you can cut back in some areas, do that, because that's also extra that you can either have fun with or, like I said, put extra into your emergency fund. All right, now we'll get our little binder that we have left so we can put all of our money into our sinking funds and emergency fund. Towards our emergency fund, we were supposed to put $450 this month. We pulled out the extra to do so, and we already have 25, so we just need 425 more, and we're done with the month of May. There's something so satisfying about highlighting things and having it done. This tracker is going to look great when all the squares are completed. So we'll put in 425. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 25. Our tracker will go back in. And in here, we now have whoa, wait a minute. Oh, there we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 20, 40, 45, 450. So $450 will be in our emergency fund. We're off to a great start for the month. Of course, if you had an emergency, you always can come back to this, but I try to pull from my sinking funds before I go to my emergency fund. Next up is clothing, and it's supposed to get $300. Also, for my sinking funds, those are kind of my guilt-free spending. I don't feel bad if I want to buy myself a dress and I have money in clothing, I take it out of there. Christmas is going to get 120. This will be adding up all year, so by the end of the year, we'll have enough to buy Christmas gifts for people that we love and no guilt about having to use our credit cards. Car repairs is going to get $100. We all know oil changes come around all too soon, And I mean, tires, other things come up with cars, so it's not a bad idea to put a little bit at a time over the year. Vacation, $200. And if I do this for a couple of months and I have $600 and one of my girlfriends asked me to go out of town with them for the weekend, I have the money without the guilt. That is all of our sinking funds that we have been saving towards for the month of May. We would have everything done, and I would put these back into my binder. And that is everything for the 2 cash stuffings for the month, as well as this money would go inside my wallet so that I'd have spending money for the next 2 weeks. I've also seen where people have taken their money that they have for a 2-week period and only put 1 week's worth in their wallet. So if you don't want to carry all of this cash, you could put some extra categories just like these out of index cards into your binder. And instead of you putting $75 in gas, maybe this time you only put $25 and you put the other $50 in an index card inside of your binder. For spending, let's say you don't want to put the whole $200, you only cash stuff for 1 week, $100, and you put the other inside of your binder in a little card like this that says spending, but it goes in here to stay at your house and you're safe. Groceries, same thing. If you had $150, maybe you would only put $75 and you would hold $75 to the next week. You're able to do it again. And beauty, you would only put $75 instead of $150 also. Either way, you would end up having enough for the week going down into your wallet. And if you had any extra, we already talked about that. And if you ran short, you would have the extra money to come back here for next week's spending in order to get it, or you could be disciplined and just not spend it at all. All right, so now that we're all done, we ended up simplifying our life by setting up a cash budget with things from the Dollar Tree, with items from the Dollar Tree, spending no more than $15. Really, if we would have spent $20, we could have got a couple of other things, but you don't have to spend more in order to do more. It really just is about organizing and making it fun for yourself. These simple tools only help you to organize the money into categories that are easier for you to have discipline about spending before you reach for the cash that is just in your bank account. I feel like when I had money in my bank account, I would just swipe, 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 and look back after the fact and be like, I spent $240 on what? And I have to reconcile what I spent it on. When I take the cash out and I put it into some sinking funds or put it into cash envelopes in my wallet, I know that this money is designated for groceries. Now, if I run out of grocery money and I'm a little bit short, can I pull it from the gas fund if I have extra there? Of course. It's all money for me to spend that's in my wallet. That's how I look at it. And the money that's in my sinking funds is money that I can spend as well, other than my emergency fund. I try not to touch that because that money is there to grow and to be spent in case of emergencies only. All right, I hope you guys learned something about starting your budget, got some good information, and if nothing else, challenge your mind a bit in ways that you can simplify your setup and still make it effective. It's going to be effective and affordable, which are the two things that we're looking for, right? If you have any other questions about how to start on your budgeting journey, I'll link a video up here, which is a beginner start guide on how to actually set up your budget from beginning to end, regardless of what pay cycle you're on. I think that video is very helpful. Also, I do have some basic budgeting tools linked down in my description, like a free penny challenge, which is a challenge where every single time you get paid, you color in one of the penny amounts, and they range between, I think, 8 cents and $30. So they're very reasonable. You can literally just click the link down below under penny challenge and print that and challenge yourself to save. Those extra savings you maybe can get out of your rollover money, the money that you didn't spend out of your cash envelopes, and put that into your emergency fund, but color in a penny so you can see how quickly you can color in all the pennies in the penny challenge, and that challenge happens to be free. Regardless, I appreciate you for being here. Whether you're new to this or true to this, put this one single emoji right here letting me know that you made it all the way to the end of this video. Don't forget, like this video and share it with someone if you think they need a little bit of help in getting their budget together and getting organized in a really, really affordable way. Dollar Tree is the way to go. All right, I think that's everything for today. I appreciate you guys for being here. I love you all, and I will talk to you very soon. Take care.